All right, so this is our crop care sprayer. This is what we use on some of our field crops. We do field crops for our rotation for our nursery and for a few other reasons, which we can talk about in another video. But basically what I'm going to be doing is changing these nozzles out here, and we're putting a different size in. So we had this set up for doing some herbicides, some burn down on some grass and things like that. So I'm running a smaller nozzle. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting nitrogen on our wheat. So basically we're just fertilizing our wheat in a liquid form. So we use a sprayer like this compared to, like in the other videos you saw, a fertilizer spreader. So it's the same thing. We're doing just fertilizer and we're putting it on with our sprayer. So we're using these brown nozzles. Each nozzle is a different color. So the color means different sizes, and all that means is the amount of gallons per minute that nozzle is capable of doing. So we're going to be able to be putting more product down with these nozzles compared to what we have on the machine. When we do burn down, we're doing typically 15 gallons of water per acre. When we're doing this fertilizer, we're going to do 25 gallons of water. That way it's able to spread it around on the leaves very good to the winter wheat. So let's switch these nozzles out. We got like 60 of them to do, so it's going to take a minute, and I'll speed you guys up. So we just did this whole side over here. I want to show you in detail how these work. So basically I unspin this. So that's that so far. And then inside here we have a little screen. And what this does is it screens out any of the particles, dirt particles or anything like that before it goes into this nozzle so it doesn't plug it. So we're switching the blue to the brown, which is a bigger nozzle. So I put this screen in here like this. So I put the nozzle in the cap here like so. And then I put this rubber O-ring in there. And then I take the screen, put the screen up in there. I'd clean it if it's dirty, but this is clean right now. Twist it on, and then it's ready to go. So we're filling up our first tank of nitrogen. That's the main thing we're putting on this winter wheat. Let's take a look at the wheat over here. But basically the wheat's looking pretty good. It's nice and tall. It's almost up to my knee. But we have a few of these weeds poking through. That's a weed there. And if you look down a little closer, there's a little bit of weeds down there. So we're going to be putting on a nitrogen as well as a little bit of herbicide and then a fungicide, because these wheat plants are almost to the reproductive stage where they're going to start making their seed head, and we want to make sure they're very healthy, especially with the rains, that they don't have fungus, which will lead to mycotoxins in the wheat kernel. So with higher with that higher vomitoxin and things like that, they're not allowed to, well, it doesn't meet the spec for grains going into flour or anything like that. So we want to be proactive and keep this wheat as healthy as it's looking now. We're going to see when we get going through a little of these fields, you're going to see a little hint of yellow, and that's basically like right here in this headlands. That's the wheat running out of nitrogen. So that's our sprayer. We just put the nozzles in, but this full tank is nitrogen, and then this whole tank is just water. So we're putting 200 gallons of nitrogen in the sprayer and 300 gallons of water. So that works out to we're spraying 25 gallons to the acre. So we can do 20 acres with this tank. So we're putting 10 gallons of nitrogen on per acre, along with 15 gallons of water. With that, we have this going in the tank. This is Request, and what that does is it makes the water, it stabilizes your water. It's like putting chlorine into your water at your home. This is adjusting the pH to make sure that the fertilizer works at the optimal pH of what it needs. Our water is a little bit harder, so it's important that we put this in. It's not much. It's a gallon for every 500 gallons, okay? So it's not much. The next is we have a fungicide. That is 4 ounces per acre. So we're putting in 80 ounces. So just a little over a half a gallon for that whole tank. It's not much, guys, but it's all the plant needs, and that's important what we're doing. These products are very expensive, so with the farmers, we make sure we put on the right amount of rate, not too low, because then you create resistance, but not too high where you're wasting it. It's going to waste. It's all this the plant's using up right away. The last thing is Unison, and what that is that's our herbicide to tackle those weeds that I showed you there. So that rate is 1 pint per acre. So with that, we're going to finish filling up, and we'll catch up with you while we're in the field. Here's a really good example where you can see the wheat's a little yellower, and then over here you can see it's a little darker green. There's a little bit of streaks right here of green. That could be when we put on the dry fertilizer earlier on. But so we're doing the headlands right now. To set up a new AB line, press my point for A, and then we're going to go down to this end and press our point for B. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of what I'm watching for. I'm watching that my boom height, there's triangles off each of the spray nozzles, and I want those to cover basically a triangle like down. I want the other triangle to come like that, so it has a full pattern, so we're not just hitting where the nozzles are. I have 2 hydraulic valves down here. One is for the right boom, one is for the left boom. So now I can see, it's hard, it doesn't show up on the camera, but when that lights up yellow, that means I'm on my path. This is a 60-foot sprayer, so our swath width is 60 foot. And then it tells me the pass I'm on and stuff like that. This is just light bar guidance. I still have to manually steer this, which isn't a problem. I like steering for spraying. It's perfect weather right now. There's not too much wind. Like I said, this is just fertilizer. This is going to make it green up. This will be our last application of this wheat, or this will be our last application on this wheat for the year. The next step that we're in here for is for combining. So we're looking here at my rate controller. You can see we're putting on 25 gallons of water to the acre. Our pressure is 3840 now, and the speed I'm going is 5.8 miles an hour. We've already covered 3.4 acres, 86 gallons sprayed. felt good to get some field work done after kind of being on a rain delay for the last 2 weeks, it seems. We've just been playing in the mud, putting in tiles, so it's been good to fertilize the wheat, get that done. We were able to get all the acres done. Today I got about 20 more acres left to do tonight, and then we'll have the nitrogen finished up on the wheat. So if you got any questions on what we were doing today, feel free to drop a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep a lookout for the next one. Thanks again. We'll see ya.